were grandfathered in and then decided to go into a system by which they could control the outcome against their own people by allying themselves with the ones that they freed, and then put them in control over their states as opposed to their own. Don't he look just like Stephen from Django? Wasn't Stephen the one who owned the plantation? Wasn't Stephen the one that owned all of them black people? And the white people was just what? Whipping them and brutalizing them, and Carl Candy was his face. Just like in The Banker, in that movie The Banker, with the Falcon and Nick Fury, they had to get the white man to be the face for the bank, right? Only thing, they was trying to help their people. This dude come from the Anthony Johnson stock. That stock of Moors that just got fed up and decided, well, we just gonna go into and do what we got to do to put these devils in position for us and give them aspects of their own autonomy. And then they flipped it on them. See the knee? This is a Templar symbol. This, whenever you see Michael standing on the chest of the devil, right? This is another version of Kali. When you see Kali standing on the body of the man with her tongue out. Because all of the British Freemasons who are English Catholics are all what do you call it? Sikhs on the low. They all worship Kali and Shiva and all of that. Britain comes from Beretane or Beretania, and Beretania was another name for ancient India. Islam. So they be throwing spells. They be making us think we leaving one order and going into something new, and they all this tentacle and the same octopus. That's why we're not supposed to follow the pale gods of Europe. These are the pale gods of Europe. This is Kukulkan Khan. Like I showed you in the last joint. This is the entity that they are exercising in their rituals. When they appease the American gods and their little sacrifices and stuff, Kukulkan is one of the main ones getting the blood trust. And then he's the one that they put over the KKK. That's one of the mysteries. They got a 101, just like we got the Circle 7 Quran. They got the Chloron. And just like we got 101s, they got 101s. You know what I'm saying? And in their 101s, they say that the mystery of the Ku Klux Klan, or what it truly means, lies in the South. Lies in the southern corridor. Where's Veracruz? Where's Palenque? Where's Tehuantepec? The South, right? And what they call the South in the Freemason talk is referred to as the Southern jurisdiction. When you hear them use the term Orient, this is happening in the Orient. That's another code for America. He represents the fealty. They're pledging fealty to Rome. When the knight and the squire is knighted, right? He gets on one knee and the female knights him. That's why they're inverted, because the female is holding the phallus. The male is wearing the dress in the form of the kilt. So in the ritual, in the police brutality thing, they're being knighted when they use the sword, which is the baton, to make the subject kneel. It's still submission. They're training you to submit to the abuse instead of rising up and stopping it. This is the original. These are the people that came over from Tartery. Okay? This is the book that not only proves it, but gets into why and how the woolly mammoths and the mastodons wound up here. Going all the way back to time immemorial, because they was always here. But he brought more with him, because that was the custom of the ancient world. Because the children of Carthage, those who were descended from Carthage, would always have the elephant. And Tartery, again, of that era, was also connected to Carthage through trade. And when ancient Carthage broke up in Rome, after Rome fell to the hands of the Moors, the descendants again, those Moorish clans or tribes of Barbary and Tartary, established a block system to keep them locked up in Europe. These people that came, that they call Native Americans again, then amalgamated later in history with Caucasian people specifically, and it created laws for them to be able to adopt the land of the original so-called Indians that they lost the war to over 2,000 plus years ago, or back in the 13th century. So if you can give blood to everybody else in the world with this blood type, but you can only receive your blood from somebody like you, but you could give it to everybody else, that means your blood was there to help bring about everybody else. So I gotta get you to not like yourself, like your blood, like your hemoglobin, so that way you'll frivolously give it up to me. See what I'm saying? And so you can't do that because melanin itself is reactive to its whoever it encompasses. So it manifests what you want. But it happens at such a subtle level you don't even realize it. So I'm gonna prove to you. You be sick, and then one day you don't be. You got a headache, and then one day you just don't have it no more. Right? Got a stomach ache, one day you just don't have that stomach ache. Whereas other people, they gotta go to the doctor, they gotta, you know what I'm saying? They gotta do a lot of different things to get right. But some of us, we be doing the self-diagnosis. Damn, I had too much bread. I gotta stop eating bread. You know what I'm saying? Like, we be doing it like that. And then we stop, and then what happened? You get better, right? That's your melanin. That's like venom. That's your melanin talking to you. Like, yeah, I can't mess with the bread. But you think it's you. But you gotta understand your melanin is across your whole body. It's in and around every organ of your body. We don't even get it. That's why it's $4.80 a gram. And where did they get the money? Where did they get the melanin to do this from? Planned Parenthood. They got to deal with them. Look it up. Where they get all the aborted fetuses, especially from the black people. Because there's white people that call and donate it so they have enough money to specifically abort black babies, so-called black babies. There's a recording. I saw it on YouTube. There was a recording once where this dude called specifically. They recorded. He specifically, I want this to go to the abortion of black children. And you know who supports that more than anybody? Black Lives Matter. See? It's not about, I'm not talking about a woman's right to her body. I'm not talking about none of that. I'm talking about the result. Not get into the politics and the individual choices and this is the societal discrepant whatever. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the brass tacks. Once it's done, this is where it's going. This is who's getting it. Remember, we just read the Moors were the keepers of so-called Egypt, right? What they call in Egypt. Ancient Egypt was Tameri by the Egyptians, Tamarican, right? Tamerican, Tamere. I can get into it. And of the root of this, there is Morocco. See? T-M-R. T-M-R. M-R. M-R. K-N. See? If we just going by the verb, I mean the consonants. M-R, M-R. Right, just like in Barry Fell's book, Saga America, they found the oldest mosque in the world, they're saying, in Nevada, and inscribed on the map that it described the land that it was around that encompassed the whole of the country. On it, they wrote M-R. Not N-D, like Indian. Not K-M-T, Kemet, like, yes, okay, you can call it that, Kemetin, okay, that, all right. But that's like saying Comesian. Or why not just say Moor? Because that's what they were. Because the Moors were the high priest of Anu, and Anu was the high priesthood of Anpu, who is the so-called Zolo dog from America, who they call Anubis. Chem meaning like chemical or alchemical. Okay? So when we look in the root of these organizations, like I said, that have already been hijacked, in the outset, like they didn't even wait. They didn't even wait to show their colors. It was like, okay, we're burning stuff up, get the white girls out there to trash the stores and do all of this, whatever, and we're gonna go hard. We're gonna go with the rainbow and everything. And then when you go on their website and then you read what they're actually about, they're just another totalitarian group that not only is funded by George Soros, who may or may not even be a real person. You know what I'm saying? It's definitely an entity, but but when you read this stuff, this is what they're about. We are self-reflexive. We do work required to dismantle the cisgender. Cisgender means cis is my queen told me, is the Latin for man. But see how they even trying to flip it where man, they trying to call you a sister, right? So cisgender privilege, meaning a traditional nuclear family. We want to dismantle that. So that means what? The man got to go. Cisgender privilege and uplift black trans folks, especially black trans women. So this is about gay black men, because a trans woman is a gay man, right? Who continue to be disproportionately impacted by trans antagonistic violence. So they're saying now that these black people have been being murdered, not because, so heterosexual black males, which are the predominant ones getting murdered, right, by these police or whatever, they're not to be the ones focused on. The ones to be focused on is the black trans murders. So that's why we got to get them killed and hung, you understand, to justify this thing. The same way the Jews was like, okay, well, we need to be the chosen people, so we need an antagonist. So the Nazi version of us is going to be the oppressor, and then they're going to oppress these ones, so that way we can set ourselves up in the future to have our own state. This is exactly what they're doing. We practice empathy. We encourage comrades. See, comrades? Right there. communism, Marxism, right? What does that have to do with nationality of black people? What does that have to do with the upliftment of black people? How is that going to help you spiritually? How is communism going to help the so-called black community? With the intent to learn about and connect with their contexts. What? We make our spaces family friendly and enable parents to fully participate with their children. We dismantle the patriarchal practice that requires mothers to work double shifts so that they can mother in private even as they participate in public justice work. We disrupt Western prescribed nuclear family structure. That ain't got nothing to do with the white man. We are the nuclear family. The nuclear family is the original man and woman. That's why Elijah Muhammad put the symbol of the nucleus atom on the front of the theology of time. We are the nucleus of America. The original man, woman, and child. They trying to destroy that. And these black lesbians is the ones that's on the front page letting them do it. The same way Angela Davis, right? What's her name? Shirley Chisholm, right? All of the rest of them. Right? And then on the male side, who did you have? You had Al Sharpton, right? And there was another one, real Uncle Tom. Bobby Rush, right? All of these ones that's just on the other side doing it. Holding up the party line. Then Jesse Jackson, thank you, that's the one. Rainbow Coalition, see? It went from Nation Time to the Rainbow Coalition. All within the bullets that shot Malcolm, Martin, Bobby, and John. All in between that, we done went into the Rainbow Coalition, and that's what happened, right? And that's when it became about gay rights. That's when they welcomed all of the homosexuals in that they had been going to the rituals with through the whole situation. These are your leaders. These are the people. We got Push, Core, SNCC, all of that. FBI, all of that, especially the Christian ones. The Christian ones definitely. But the Panthers, the grassroots organizations, the Panthers, the Crips, and all of that, that started with the Moors. They co-opted all of that and turned it gay, put the homosexuals in, and then that becomes what it's about. So now black rights, your rights now are nil because you and me as so-called black males, we're the problem now. So they use the so-called killings of black males, right, to talk about how black women need to get away from black men and they need to be with cuckold white men, trans, or gay men. Because that is the new black community. You understand? When they talk about Black Lives Matter, these are the black people they're talking about. People who have purposely made themselves colorable. This is the new thing now. That's why they put the census out before it was happening. So they know. Because we know that the Black Lives Matter thing, what that really is terrorism and all that. We know that. That's the Republican, that's the Democratic Party. All that money that people send to them, to the Democratic Party through Act Blue, which was also connected to the Blue Act, signed by your boy, Barry Soetoro. Yep. You got to get away from them people. Those is the new white people. Those are going to be those are the ones that they're going to try to, again, help distract and move away from the central line. As the Luminists say, they're going to use them to flatten the curve. Their little sayings and their little groups. Yeah, but at the head of this is these black women. But look at the actual numbers. You know they love using graphs and numbers, right? But look at the actual numbers. By most measures, black fathers are just as involved with their children as other dads in some living situations, or more so, according to the new report from the National Center for Health Statistics. This is why they need the black man out there, because he's actually there. Fed 8 meals with their children daily, 78.2%. 12%, the highest of any of the fathers. The black man, in every category. In every category. Also destroys the myth then of black people killing more black people killing more white people than anybody else, because there's that narrative going around by a bunch of RBG agents online and all of that, pumping that garbage from another fake statistic, right? This debunks that, because there's no way that these men is home with all of their kids and taking care of them and being involved in stuff, and at the same time out here shooting black people, shooting white people, and going to work, and selling drugs, and rapping, and playing ball. Like, come on, man. Like, come on, man. See, oh, this the white man, or the white man back in 1700. Like, you wasn't necessarily expecting to see a white, you was expecting to see a turbaned out Moor of the Alawite dynasty that was making these white boys through Colorados and Mamelukes pay tribute to be free on land. That's right. The true whites. They were, again, WIGHT whites, which were, by definition, unfortunate creatures who were punished under law. So Horace Greeley recommended the name Republican Party for the Redmen Whig Party. Because remember, they were the red men. They were the pink, ruddy men. So these pink, ruddy men decided to adopt the Republican Party, which was, again, the name of the original party that was running everything in the original so-called republic that was founded by us against slavery. You see? For the members, they recommended white people. Horace Greeley recommended the name white people in the Free Union to oppose the old Mohammedan religion, Islamism, which was dictatorship, slavery, and brutality, and injustice to all the red women and all of the other women that were under them who approved their undertaking, which is where the term Anuit Kioptis comes from. The so-called white woman from the colonies of Ohio, Michigan, Indiana, Illinois, at the aid of the priesthood, organized a society of the Knights of Columbus under the KKK. Here they proclaimed the birth of the new white baby boy and his immaculate virgin birth mother for the age of progress for the Albions, and from the famous title Albion Woman earned for organizing, right, Columbus under the Knights of the KKK, right, which was the Mother Superior, Queen Victoria, sisters and daughters of the American Revolution, who had overthrown the Moorish nation. These are the white women that are paired with all of these so-called rich black celebrities or whatever today. The same order, you understand? They all working together. They all down with it. Look, a Southern planter. Now, the Southern planters were actually rich so-called black people. That's this dude. Excuse me. Don't let them fool you. They make you think he's the butler, he's the slave. No, he's the rich Southern planter that's playing the Masonic game with him and everybody. We expect them to go away or do ages, or at least give them some sign that they knew they were free. Except they were very quiet and serious, more obedient than they had ever been. We saw no change in them, right? Then he says, these are all the ones that they captured. But this is in 1866. They work well when paid, which is a universal remark. by Gilmer in Virginia Senate, February 17, 1866. The freedmen opinion merit the special regardful consideration of the all right in the state. As a class, they are docile, humble, and confiding. Has been their nature all in their past, such as their nature now. Confederate veteran and second in command of the Ku Klux Klan, and questioned by the U.S. KKK Commission, the U.S. KKK Commission, which means that they was one time a part of the United States government. You understand what I'm saying? They behaved so well, but it was not uncommon in Georgia that no race on earth relieved under such circumstances would have behaved so well. These was all of the broken Negroes that after the war and all of that by 1866 have been bombed out and all of that and was now being listed as contraband. You see what I'm saying? It was being put under this new reconstruction system that they are now, slaves or ex-property of this so-called war, which was really a continuation of the destabilization of the entire country after the New Madrid earthquake of 1812. Much of these battles weren't fought. They actually were reenactments, or what they call battles, that they actually passed off as real. And then wrote in their history happened, and then since then have been doing reenactments to drill it into the minds of these stupid white people that have grown up under this illusion that they know deep down is not real. And that has driven them insane as a so-called race. That's why we're not supposed to be with them or interbreed with them like that at this point, because they're going through their transition. And they can't do that if we are always there blocking it, and we can't let them use us to do so.